Hello, friends, and welcome back to RSQ. I'm Dakota,
I'm Curtis.
and we finished reading The Engineer's Mechanic.
We did.
So we are here to tell you what we thought about it.
And we thought indeed very hard about this. I think we powered. I meant to look. I think we finished this in 3 days. I think it was 3 days.
Yeah, I think I finished it in just over 48 hours.
Yeah, you were close to 2 days. I was for sure 3. But I want to point out again too, they sent me this copy of this book and they wrote a cool little note, and I love that. I love the person because people sign books and that's awesome. I love that. Big fan. But then they wrote like, Curtis and Reader SideQuest, thank you so much for your support. Hope you enjoy. And I can tell that they mean it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's one of the really cool things about being on this little journey is that we get to interact with authors a lot more, and it's a lot of fun. I didn't expect this when we started RSQ, but I'm really enjoying being able to talk to authors. And I think like when we were a couple chapters in, I messaged them and asked about a pronunciation. I was like, you have to tell me how to pronounce this. And they did. And it was great because can you imagine DMing Brandon Sanderson and saying, what were you thinking here? And he'd be like, I'll get back to you in 80 to 20,000 business days.
And it is really cool because so far we've messaged, this is our third book we've done, and we've messaged each author like during and afterwards and got like some quick feedback, or then, oh, hey, like, you know, talked about the review or during the book and stuff. And that's, like you said, super unique. That was not something I was expecting to do during this at all. I also wasn't expecting 200 plus replies. I was expecting like...
Yeah, I was expecting us to get like maybe 20, 30 indie book suggestions, and here we are. All of the indie book suggestions. Yeah. We support the reading community, building the community that we want to be a part of.
We support you.
But
can you not do that?
Should we jump into it?
Were you not able to do this?
Oh,
you looked like you were like...
Wait, it's just that I haven't done it before. Which direction is it? Point your finger over the... There we go.
Outside. There you go.
I'm a boomer. So, Engineer's Mechanic.
Let's talk about it.
It was cool. I really enjoyed it. But let's jump into our categories and we'll talk about it while we talk about it.
I want to bring something up first.
All right.
So
I'm ready.
A quick funny story. So it's called The Engineer's Mechanic, right? And I didn't have the book in hand. And I told my wife about it, and she goes, "Are you reading a manual? Like, because the Engineer's Mechanic?" I'm like, "No." It's like a book.
She's like, "Are you working on the car?"
So I want to working on the car. Like I've ever done anything for the car ever. Anyway, people always judge a book by its cover. I'm one of those people. I love this cover. If you think this title is boring for some reason, you're wrong. This is a very exciting book. My wife thought it was a manual, and she was so wrong. It was a very good time. So I just want you naysayers out there, like I am sometimes, get reverse naysayed.
It's true. Don't judge a book by its name or cover. But I like the cover a lot, and I do see how the cover name too could make you think that it's like about only people who will like mechanical things, but it's not true.
It's not true, and you would be wrong. Anyway,
so this book
has been
written by a author couple, Lando and Corey. They are a long distance couple, and they wrote this book together, and that's their thing. One of them is in the UK overseas, and one of them is local to the US, and they fell in love and wrote a book together, and it's very wholesome.
They did a heckin' good job, too, I would say. I always think it's interesting, like, how do two people write one book and like have it be so cohesive? You know what I'm saying? Because like you'd be able to kind of see like who wrote what part. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It just felt like someone wrote it.
It's just like one person wrote it.
You guys became one.
The Expanse is that way too. It's an author combo. But it's not like a husband and wife. It's just two dudes who wrote The Expanse.
Two dudes chilling in a hot tub. All right. Well-developed characters is our... Well, we say this about like 3 different categories, but it's our favorite category.
It's our favorite category. No, I don't know that we say this about 3 different categories. I have 2 categories that are my like top ones. I think it's characters and pacing.
I think mine's characters and world building.
But well-developed characters. What'd you think about it? How'd you feel about them?
I felt good. I give it a full point. I feel like we got... Like the books we read so far have gotten a lot of characters, right? And this one had, I think, the perfect amount of characters. There wasn't too little, there wasn't too many. It was like a good nugget amount, and we learned a lot about each one. And even the ones we didn't learn a lot about, and this is where I feel like we start. Now we're getting into the spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Even like Migo, who we don't get a ton about, like we know him, right? We know everything kind of about him, and at the end of the book, he's like, you could tell they're about to break him out of the shell they created for him, and he's about to, in the next book, explode. I feel like into a new.
Yeah, I wrote the same thing in my notes. That even the peripheral characters like Ellie and Migo that you don't see in like main chunk of the book, but kind of like around the edges. They got enough limelight and development to be continually relevant. It is important to note this is a series, the Meta City series, and I think they said they're looking to release the next book next year.
Sweet.
So we'll see that when it comes out. But character development was great.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite character?
Yeah, it's definitely Ren. I'm a simp for a main character. I love MC energy.
You kind of are a simp for them.
It's true. Every book we read, I love that MC energy. I love plot armor. give me a main character who knows their stuff and is killing it. I love main character energy.
That's fair. I liked who's the droid? I liked the droid.
Oh, K2?
K2. I almost said R2, but Star Wars. K2. K2 is my favorite.
They sent us some art, and there's a really cool art of him like petting the cat or dog. The link in the back of the book is expired, but they shared the art with us with our RSQ email.
Look at their expired link.
Scan the expired link. But anyways.
I was wondering if that worked. I was going to scan it. Forgot about it.
I have the links in our email, so you should check it out. But I'll throw it up when I edit this.
Throw it up.
I'm making a tag so I don't forget. I'll throw it up when we edit this. There's a really cool art of him with was it a dog or a cat?
It was a dog. It was a dog.
K2, like it was a dog. There's a really cool like art. I think it's a fan art of him like petting the dog. So we'll have to show that. Yeah, but he's a cool character.
Yeah, I like that he can like condense down into like a briefcase, like carry mode or whatever.
Carry mode.
Yeah, I liked that. That was cool.
Excuse me, we're getting into world building. We're still talking about characters.
That's a character I was talking about.
You're right. I liked the characters as well. The cast was great. The cast was really fun. I liked the similar. I used this language when we talked about Forsaken Planet. Had like different pockets of characters in different locations, like that, but different. I liked how we had groups of characters for each point of the book, each progression of the story. So it was like and I didn't feel like it was too many that we weren't going to be able to get to know them all, but different casts as we progress through this character's journey. It was cool.
Yeah, because we had like our little nugget in the beginning, Outskirts. Then we had like Meta City with Xander and them. Then we had Underground Lair.
Yeah, Hypatia's evil queen lair.
And then we had UG, and then the dog fight or robot.
The dog fight.
You know what I meant.
Bark, bark.
Orf.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Easy point. Then we had originality and creativity.
It was an easy win. I mean, I haven't read anything like it personally. I mean, we have, I guess, like Outskirts versus like City or whatever, but the fact that like the inner city is all like upgrades and like you can modify anything. I don't know, having someone from the outside come in and like integrate into it and not be like, this all sucks, but like still be a part of it and accept it and stuff like that. Not just like, not the contrast. There's more of a gray area in like this. I don't know. How would you classify, I guess, this type of like city environment type thing? Like, would you like say cyberpunk-y or would you?
Oh yeah, it was definitely cyberpunk.
Yeah.
IMO. That's the only other thing it reminded me of was the game, Cyberpunk 2077.
It's hard not to find things to compare.
It's true, and that's what I was going to say. I don't think it reminded me in that it was like, wow, you ripped that off. It was just reminding me because like, I think that's the most prevalent piece of cyberpunk media in the last like, I don't know. I'm a mainstream guy, so I haven't seen other cyberpunk media make it to the mainstream. So I don't know of any other cyberpunk media. So it reminded me of the game, but only because Cyberpunk World was, and that's the last place I experienced a cyberpunk world.
But
I still
like,
thought it was
media-wise, it's the only book I feel like I've read.
Oh
this
yeah,
kind of storyline.
Yeah, definitely, and I loved it. It was super original, super creative. I loved the domed cities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting into world building, but the story
is part of it.
Yeah, the story was super unique. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, as did I. Speaking of story, run us in.
Here we
go.
go.
About the story. You see, I switched the categories. We're now doing engaging storyline and then story end.
I do see that.
We're learning as we go along.
We're growing. Grow with us. Yeah, storyline was engaging. I liked nonstop action. This is pacing, but the storyline was great. The storyline was really good. I was hooked the whole time. I was really engaged. I was like, and then what happened? And then what happened? And where are we going now? And what's going to happen?
Yeah. I feel like the hard part is sometimes with books, you go, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. But this was like, the transitions were so good. It didn't feel like big event, blah, 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 blah. Big event, blah, 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 blah. We got like big event, and then a bunch of like little pieces and snippets of information building up to the next event and stuff. Because we had Ren outside
Yeah.
the city, then he made it in the city, then he's helping with races, then he's on the run, then he's underground, then he's a king. It's like, what?
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. How did we
Yeah.
get?
The storyline was great. Very, very engaging. Easy point there as well.
Yeah, I gave it a point. I did have a question, I guess. So they're in
Go
the
on.
underground, they're in this simulation, and he's in like that safari and he's running and doing all the things, blah blah. Then he has to learn to play the piano. Cool. I get it. It's part of the challenge. Why was a bear attacking him and an eagle while he's playing? And that was like part of him learning to play the piano. If you can't play the piano while you're being mauled to death, I didn't understand that. It kind of felt like that part was thrown in there. I was like, I'm here for it, but I'm confused.
It's because Hypatia's crazy. I think
That's
I think that's how you say her name. Yeah,
crazy.
I messaged them while I was reading those parts, and I was like, "Yo, Hypatia's insane. She's literally nuts."
Yeah, these are the first people she's talked to probably in like 10 years.
That's true.
She said.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it from the perspective of like she's trying to put him under stress and pressure. She's
you're playing the piano.
He's a piece of coal, and she's trying to push on him until he becomes a diamond.
Okay, I mean, I'm here for it. I just was like, I might be missing. I thought I was missing something. I'm like, what? Why are they doing this?
Why the bear?
I thought I missed like the reason for it, and then I didn't come across it. I was like, oh, I guess we're just fuck you, Ren.
Basically, the whole time with Hypatia was that. That's how you could sum it up.
Yeah.
But after that, we have story wrap up, the story end. What'd you think?
I felt good about it. I felt like the build up that they had in the story that they built, the ending made sense. When they had like they set themselves up on their pedestal so they could get the compendium releases to the world and then sink or swim type thing from there, and that's what they did. I feel like mission accomplished book wise. And then they let us into a book 2 if that's where they're going, or it sounds like they are. But even if they didn't, I feel like this could have been an okay standalone. Even with the ending, I felt like it could have been a good standalone.
Agreed. I would complain a lot if we didn't get another book. I'd be so sad. But yeah, it definitely had a cliffhanger, but I think that it accomplished everything it set out to accomplish in book 1. Main character growth, introduction to the world, showing us this tyrannical overlords of Metacore.
I think the only thing that they didn't answer, but I think it's because it's coming in the future, is where is Zari? I don't think she's dead. She's not dead.
Oh yeah.
This is Game of Thrones. Where's the body?
Yeah, I don't see a body.
I don't tell her dead on screen.
Dang, I didn't think about that until now. Now it makes perfect sense.
She's coming in book 2, if not the end, somewhere. I don't know.
I mean, we haven't seen Xander's body either.
I think he might be dead.
Me too.
I think he's dead. But I mean, I guess maybe not. But
We'll
I think
see.
Zari's alive. I think Xander's.
I think so too.
Bug on a windshield.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
I agree.
Eddie Hoser, world building or setting. Tell us about the world, Dakota. You should tell me something.
I was waiting. I didn't want to steal the show.
No,
it was amazing. I was immersed. I loved it. I loved the concept. I loved the body mods, the domed cities, the wasteland outside of the domed cities, the underwater lair, the tech that we got to see, the flying bikes. The fly bikes were super cool. The robots were super cool. The paladin armor. There was so many nuggets of world building. It was great. And all the descriptions were great too. I loved how when we were in the simulations, Ren was trying to like understand them the whole time. And he was like, is the room rotating? Is that how, like, I thought it was great. All the descriptions were good. The world building was, I was immersed.
The world building was fantastic. It was one of those things again, like I had no issue picturing what was happening. Like I didn't have a lot of blanks to fill, and the blanks I did have to fill, like they were just there. Like my brain was like, oh, you don't need this information in the words because you're a smart cookie and you can fill in that blank. But like you said, figuring out the simulation, like he took it apart and figured it out. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like there's science behind it. Science, bitch. But,
science. Yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed the world building.
Yeah. One of my favorite categories. I think it was done well here. Along with the pacing and structure, I feel like it was done well. I feel like he said I wasn't bored. We both finished this in 2-3 days. It was one of those we're like, we're eating it up.
I could not put it down.
How many pages is it?
Ate it. 451 is my guess. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, that's where you're wrong, bucko.
Dang.
387.
Dang. I was wrong.
You were. Which is pretty typical, so I'm not all that surprised.
Oh my gosh.
Becky.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah, the
I don't really
pacing
have any
was
notes in that. I feel like I don't
no.
have any notes in pacing unless it's like bad.
Yeah, same. When pacing lags a little bit or drags or is clunky, there's more to say. But when pacing's great, it's like, good job. It was
Yeah,
good.
you did it. You wrote well, and I'm happy and proud of you.
Yep. And then on to emotional impact.
Emotional impact, I gave a half point.
I give it a half point here too.
Do you want to talk about your point first, or do you want me to talk about my point first?
You go first.
I had to take some notes, a couple notes, because I wanted to get my thoughts out. I feel like there was a lot of twists and there's a lot of cool stuff that happened, but some of the twists, I feel like, not that I didn't care, but they felt like they were so necessary to the plot to like, or this like clearly had to happen to move the plot along that I didn't necessarily care. I was shocked that Xander died so early. I thought he was going to be like an 3/4, 80% book death, and he died early. So it was shocking, but I wasn't like overly shocked. I was like, okay. And then the big arena fight with all the robots and stuff, I never felt like they were in any position they were close to losing. But like they won, and I'm like, okay. And that was like a big moment. I feel like that kind of like for me was like, like I'm happy it happened for them, but I'm not like, okay, that's what I got. Those are my
Yeah.
thoughts.
I felt the same way about the character deaths. Who was the first person to die? Was Xander the first person to die? Did we lose somebody before Xander?
Oh,
Feel like there was another death.
Coronis or Kula.
Cronus.
Kojin.
Kojin, yes. Kojin was the first person to die. And when that happened, I don't feel like we were attached to him yet. But
I don't think we were supposed to be. I think we were more attached after his death.
Right. Yeah, like his death was, I think, what bonded Ren to the group. So I felt like the deaths were so useful to this plot, like you said, but that they weren't as like emotionally impactful. Like Xander's was a surprise twist for me as well. And then when I looked back on it, when I analyzed it, I was like, dang, I just remembered something I have to say about pacing after this. When I looked back on the death, I was like, okay, this was important for this to happen when it happened because otherwise Ren would have stayed in Xander's shadow and Ren would never have grown into the main character he was supposed to be. So for the plot, I was like, this makes total sense. But I think that I think they could have milked Xander's death a little more. They could have we could have gotten to know him for a teensy bit longer. Maybe him and Ren could have won together and Xander could have immediately died. That would have, I think, made it like if he wins the race and is like assassinated or something, that I think that would have been a more shocking and more like bonding us to Xander.
I think the reason that we are kind of like feeling on the same page is because he died and then we immediately moved on. Like it didn't, his death or his character didn't matter anymore. Like I feel like it didn't, besides now he's not in his shadow, he didn't use that anymore. I guess he's like, oh, I'm sad Xander died, but I guess we're over it type thing. And it wasn't important to the story anymore. I mean, it was, but like it felt he was kind of gone. I guess so it was like,
yeah, I think it was important to the world, but Ren moved on quick because he had to, right? He was thrust into other situations.
One of the points I wanted to make that I did forget when we were talking about when I was talking about the robot fight and everything. Once we learned that Ren is not the child but the clone of Zelius, I felt like everything like he was doing, like he had to do it, right? Because he's like the clone of like a genius. So if he didn't do this, it would be lame type thing. So it almost felt like expected instead of a surprise. Like, oh, he did it. I was like, well, of course he's gonna. So I think that's why the robot fight and stuff didn't feel as big for me because I'm like, it's more of an expectation rather than the goal.
Yeah, they established this like foresight that he has, and it's like he's super smart. He just is gonna know. He's gonna know what everybody does, and he's gonna win. I mean, I liked it, but it also
I liked it too.
It did make it so that it lowered the stakes, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm. But I felt like when they were underground, like him and Taxi's interaction, and even with Hypatia, I feel like that all of them bonding and going through all that stuff. I felt a lot during that. I felt like that was cool, like his accomplishments and stuff like that.
Agreed.
But just once they got out of there, I wrote down I felt like what he did was a baseline requirement, not an achievement for the character. Was the words I thought of.
I think the most emotionally impactful moment for me was when Hypatia randomly broke Taxia's arm.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another like crazy point
for Hypatia.
She goes, you know what? You guys aren't fighting enough. What if I just snapped your arm? Like, okay.
That was the moment I messaged Lando and Corey and said, yo, Hypatia's nuts.
And I have a question for our authors here. Is your favorite meal pancakes? Because these characters love pancakes. Every character 3 of them love pancakes, so I have
We
to
should
know
save
it.
that question for our interview with them.
We should, which we'll talk about at the end of this. But if they're watching this, I want your answer.
Do
Talk
you
about
love the
pancakes.
pancakes? And why is your favorite flavor blueberry?
Right? But yeah, so I have a point there. I mean, for the reasons we talked about.
Yeah. And then the writing style and prose.
I give it a full point. My only issue is the first 2 chapters. I had a really hard time figuring out who was talking. But then once we moved past those first 2 chapters, I don't know if it was like I was on the same page, or if like the style was figured out how they wanted to do it. They're like, okay, here we are.
Yeah,
but
I
that
think
was only in the very first 2 chapters, and I was like, okay, I got it.
yeah, I don't know if it was because we were learning who Ren is and how he talks, or if it was like like the very 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 first intro to him talking is a little rough. Like, who is this? What's going on? But first couple chapters, and then we move past it. I was
Yeah.
very impressed with the point of view shift mid book. Normally,
Yeah.
point of view shift, because point of view shifts are one of the things that like we always talk about when we are reviewing books, and we're like, the point of view shift, and I had no idea who was talking. I had to go back and look again, but it was like as soon as the point of view shift, I felt like it was really smooth. It was very clear that it was not Ren and that it was like somebody else.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where typically you get like a paragraph break and it's like the next person, but like sometimes it'll be like one sentence is this person, next sentence is another person. Unless you pick up on that, you might have to reread it and be like, wait, who exactly is talking here?
Yeah, I would also add it
book
to the list of twists, because I didn't foresee a point of view shift coming, because we got 60-70% of the book with one point of view, and then we got a shift, and I was like,
yeah,
I was like, what? This is new. What's happening?
There's got to be some big importance too on like why it shifted there too. It's another question I want to ask.
Yeah, I messaged them when the point of view shifted. Well, like a few chapters after the shift, and I said that I missed Ren narrating, but that I recognized that it was like a really important way for them to show Ren's growth by having it be like an external person who's witnessed his changes explaining it to us.
Yeah, because we got to see through Taxia's eyes. She went from Ren, who is this outskirts person who was just in her shop, to this person she was trapped with, to now he's like elevated, like to king, and she felt like she was like either stayed the same or less than him, like through his eyes. She's like looking up at him. So yeah, those are my words on that.
Those them words. But yeah, we both give it a point for the writing style and prose. It was good. It was clean.
Meaningful themes of depth.
How'd you feel about that?
Themes.
Oh. Yeah, themes are great. There were lots of themes on display here. I mean, rags to riches, classism, treating people differently based on where they're from, found family. And then I made a note here under themes about something you mentioned earlier, which was if you're a clone, where are my notes? If you're a clone of someone, are you your own person or are you them? And so that was a really interesting perspective to explore, because we saw both sides of it, right? Like at first it was Hypatia was like, you should be better, you're a clone of a genius.
Yeah.
And then it was
I think that's another theme of living up to your potential type thing. Like, this is who you could be, this is who you were. And then he's like, well, I'll be better. See it,
Ren. Be amazing.
Let's see it.
Show us how incredible you are.
Show us the money.
Yeah, no, but I thought the themes are great. Lots of themes here. And I think that is one of the things that this shares with like other cyberpunk media, because I think that's normally the theme of like a cyberpunk world, at least whenever the idea of cyberpunk comes up, is humanity can do amazing things and they're still humanity, so they still suck.
Yeah.
Being able to live forever and mod your body and have all these cool things didn't suddenly make you not be a crappy human. Doesn't suddenly make the government stop killing people.
I think they capped life at 200 though, didn't they?
Yeah. Did they?
I think they did.
They did mention that nobody should live beyond their 200 years.
Yeah, maybe
nobody should have
it, but
nobody should have another chance to impact history. Was one of the lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, themes are great. And then our last category.
Last point, rereadability and lasting impact.
You want to go first here?
You want to go first, you said?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I gave it a half point, and I struggled with this one because I didn't know how I felt, because I enjoyed the book. I really did enjoy the book, and I'm excited for the second book. I gave it a half point for lasting impact. I don't know if I would reread. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I read it, but I don't know if I would revisit the same book. I would look forward very much to book 2, but I don't think I would go back.
Interesting. Why?
I'm having a hard time putting my thoughts into words in that. I just felt it was unique and it was fun, but I think the lack of emotional impact for me for the majority of the book, except for the middle, makes me I enjoyed the characters and stuff, but I don't think I would come back to it. There wasn't like a big, like, oh my gosh, this resonated with me type thing. I guess, to come back.
Yeah, we disagree here. I was so immersed in the world that I would almost read this again right now just to be back in the world. Like, to me, it was one of those books that the book meant. Trying to say this without sounding super corny.
Be corny.
The book meant so much to me that like I felt I liked the world a lot. Like, I want to be back in the world right now. So I'd almost go read it again because I really enjoyed how immersed I was in this futuristic domed city. I liked all the concepts in the world. So I gave it a full point. I'd read it again, and I'd almost read it again right now. But we have so many books to read that I can't read it again right now.
800 million billion.
A fajillion. So you gave it a 9, and I gave it a 9.5. So our RSQ average is a 9.25 out of 10. True.
Which is another crazy score. Not that
That's a great score.
It was going to be worse, but when we came into Indie Month, I was a little nervous because we have people writing their first stuff, and it's just like they're putting their passions out there, which can be challenging. And we've just read some really good books.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot less. There can be a lot less production investment, I think, into indie books because, I mean, you're taking a chance on yourself when you write your book as an indie author. When you self-publish, self-produce, you're investing in yourself. So it oftentimes means we don't know where we're going to end up on it with an indie book. But I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, as is I. And I'm looking forward to book 2 in the future when that comes out. And our
exciting announcement
coming up, our interview with our authors, is hopefully we're ironing out the details on date, but hopefully it'll be within the next week or two. And we're going to do a podcast style interview with them and talk about their, I don't know, book, life, writing style, writing process. If you have any questions.
Yeah, we're tentatively looking at filming it on 6/19. So I'll turn this clip into a little clip that we can post everywhere and ask for questions. But the questions that we asked about the pancakes and about how do you write a book as 2 people and still make it sound like one person, these are questions we're going to ask them.
These are what the people want to know. Mainly about the pancakes. I think everyone's asking that.
Yeah. Who was it that said they prefer French toast? Did Ren initially say he prefers French toast?
Or is either him or Taxi, because they were talking like, oh, pancakes again, or like, I don't know, something like that.
Oh, it might have been her. Yeah. I think it was her. I also liked that concept of how the food, I liked all the 3D printers, but I really liked the concept of how it can make you anything, but you have to know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, like what you're asking for, it can't make it for you. I think there's a lot of couples out there who can't decide on what they're having for dinner. And they'd be like, I don't know, just like make me something. It's like, it doesn't work that way. You have to ask it for something specific.
Well, the printers were cool too, because they could make 1, anything, but 2, the bio like makeup or whatever they made was the exact same as like grown food. So yeah, they talked about that in the book. They're like, you could like make apples, which is hard, or you could just print it, and it's literally the same thing. Except the materials are what, like recycled algae and like bodies.
I don't remember what the materials were.
They said that
the recycled algae sounds. Yeah, it was like there was materials that had to go in, but then they turned it into anything. I thought that was really cool.
It was cool. But I don't know if I would want a body flavored apple.
I mean, I'm sure it doesn't taste like body. I'm sure it tastes like apple. I know. Because what's the point if it can make it into anything? Why would it make it into anything that tastes like the same thing?
I guess I don't know. I'm just saying.
But anyway,
it's cool.
We gave this one a 9.25. Definitely recommend it.
Oh yeah.
Great sci-fi book. Great cyberpunk themed book. Give it a read. Check it out and enjoy the world of Meta City by Lando and Corey. L.K. Wintur.
Wintur. Enjoy the story. Enjoy the characters. Let us know what you thought about it. If you liked it. If you didn't like it. We like to know everybody's opinion, regardless of what it is. And in our next video, too, behind Dakota, we have our wheel that we are going to go ahead and spin for our next book. What we're going to be reading next. We've got some on there you can see. And look how nice that spins. So we're very excited to dive into our next book, your next book,
the next Indie Author Month book. So check out our indie wheel spin.
Indie wheel spin.
But I think that's all we've got today.
Look at us.
Not me. Till next time, friends.
RSQ out.